All right, we're getting more breaking news of how chants of shame, shame have been raised in the Delhi High Court after interim protection was denied to students of Jamia. So this is what is happening. Delhi High Court, Chief Justice targeted with such slogans, all decorum thrown out of the window by people who continue to talk about constitutionality and their democratic rights to protest, are now targeting justices. The Delhi High Court Chief Justice in this case with such chants, lawyers crossing the line. There have been other instances where something like this has happened when lawyers have crossed the line in courts on other issues. It is really intolerance that is on display here. Just because the justice or a judge don't do what certain lawyers want, they start sloganeering and behaving like goons inside court as well. So what has happened is that interim protection to Jamia students has been denied. All sides have been heard, but just because interim protection has been denied, this is what has happened. My colleague Niranjan is joining us for more details. Niranjan, what else are you picking up?
Well, from the initial details we picked up, in this minute, I can tell you that some of the lawyers, we don't know who these lawyers were, obviously from the defense side, and they have shouted shame, shame chants inside the Chief Justice's court after interim protection was denied to the students. Also important to note that as we speak, the Delhi High Court had also issued a notice to the centre to respond on the Jamia violence. So, on one hand, when the court has asked the centre to respond and the police to respond to what's happened, this is unprecedented. Lawyers displaying intolerance inside the courtroom and shouting shame, shame chants for the students not getting interim protection. I think that's really despicable. Despicable also because you had shots of students who were pelting stones right outside the gates of Jamia. There were some students,
yes,
not all of them, Shivani, some students. But it's really unprecedented that when pictures tell you the different story of how students took law into their own hands and resorted to stone pelting, while some of them resorted to stone pelting and took law into their own hands. How do these lawyers and defenders or people who swear by the law and practice the law, how can they shout shame, shame at the judge, shame on you chants at the judge when he has denied interim protection, especially to those students who are actively involved in stone pelting and taking law into their own hands?
But this is intimidation of the judiciary, Niranjan. This is clear intimidation. I'm certain that there are actions that the court can take against such individuals.
Well, we're waiting for some updates on that front. We're waiting for some updates because certainly this will not go down well. It's the Delhi High Court Chief Justice who was hearing the case, and we are told that the shame on you chants were heard inside the court of the Chief Justice of Delhi High Court. Now, either way, this is really unprecedented. The fact that lawyers who practice the law, resort to such behavior inside the courtroom is really shameful. I mean, I think if it's shame on someone,
yes,
the shame is completely on the behavior. It's really shameful, the kind of behavior that lawyers are putting up inside the courtroom. I mean, look what's happening. You have students in the guise of protest. Some students, not all of them, Shivani, some students taking law into their own hands. See what's happening in Lucknow and Sambhal. Protesters turning vandals, not all protesters, but some of them. I mean, instead of having a debate and coming to acknowledge the facts that all of this has led to, this situation was built up, it all was going to come down to this. And despite situation getting out of hand, instead of talking about the facts of the case and what's happening, I think complete irrational behavior by these lawyers. Let's try and also get some responses from the lawyers, from some of the key lawyers, in the Delhi High Court and the Bar Council in Delhi and the Supreme Court. We'll try and get some responses from them and see what they think about the turn of events. I'm just going to keep telling you a few more details that we're picking up from the courtroom as we stay on the story, Shivani.
Niranjan, I'm just going to come back to you in just a bit. Just hang on with us. This is clearly once again people displaying absolute disregard to their duties. The overall scenario that is happening. Everybody keeps talking about their rights, but their rights are not endless. And this is what is happening when they don't get what they want from the courts. This is unprecedented, but certainly not surprising. because there's certainly a lobby that has raised suspicion on judges and judiciary at large just because they don't get the judgments they want. So let's also go across to our legal editor, Ridham Anand Bhardwaj. Ridham, what more are you picking up of what happened inside court?
It is just like you said, certain lawyers getting angry, and this is unprecedented that you try and make a mockery of the law and order inside the temple of democracy in the Delhi High Court. When the Delhi High Court has done what it could in its wisdom, it's issued notice to the central government, to the Delhi police. It's also directed them to file affidavits. That is what usually happens in a police hearing in any such case. Interim protection to students is being denied by the High Court, but a notice has been issued, and to raise slogans of shame, shame is utterly shocking. It seems the lawyers have not realized that when they are in the Chief Justice of Delhi High Court's court, Court 1, interim protection being denied is there, but at the same time, the matter has been listed on February 4th. The notice has been issued to the central government. The notice has been issued to the Delhi police. How do you expect that people will be able to have any trust in the judiciary if shame, shame is now being shouted by the lawyers in the court? I would like to tell our viewers, not the first time it's happened when the Delhi police clashed with the lawyers. Even at that time, there was an uproar in the Court 1 of Delhi High Court. Here, shame, shame today is unprecedented.
All right, Ridham, appreciate you joining us. Also for Niranjan for getting us more details. We'll keep coming back to this for more.